Hello and welcome to my CISSP review questions video series. The main goal of this series of videos is to help you pass the cybersecurity exam in the first try. The CISSP is a very tough exam. Not many people pass this exam in the first try, and it is a very expensive exam. So being able to pass this exam in the first time that you sit down, it's really important, and this is my intent with this sort of kind of question similar to what you're gonna get in the real exam. These questions will be from the A domains of the CISSP shown over here. The questions are not in a particular order, but they will be covering all the domains for this exam. I will try to make this short videos. So every single video is going to have 10 questions with answers and explanations. Question number one, physical assets defined in an organization's business impact analysis, BIA, could include which of the following? A, personal belongings of organizational staff members. B, disaster recovery, DR, line item revenues. C, cloud-based applications. Or D, supplies kept off-site, a remote facility. So make sure that if you're at home, if you're studying, take a piece of paper and write down whatever you think is the correct answer. The correct answer is D, supplies kept off-site, a remote facility. A business impact analysis, or BIA, identifies and evaluates critical physical assets that are essential for an organization's operations. That's why that's the correct answer. A is incorrect, personal belongings of organizational staff members, because personal belongings are not organizational assets. That's simple to know that that is not the right answer. Option B, disaster recovery, DR, line item revenue, is incorrect because as revenues are financial, not physical assets. Option C, cloud-based applications, is incorrect because uh, they are digital, not physical access. And D, supplies kept off-site, a remote facility, is the correct one because these are tangible or physical access that support business continuity. Question number two. When assessing the audit capability of an application, which of the following activities is most important? A, identify procedures to investigate suspicious activity. B, determine if audit records contain sufficient information. C, verify if sufficient storage is allocated for audit records. Or D, review security plan for actions to be taken in the event of audit failure. The correct answer is B, determine if audit records contain sufficient information. The primary purpose of auditing is to ensure accountability, traceability, and the ability to investigate security incidents. The quality and completeness of audit records are critical because um, A, identify procedures to investigate suspicious activity. While this is important, this relies on having proper audit data first. So that's not the best answer. Option B, determine if audit records contain sufficient information. This is correct because audit logs must include details such as timestamps, user actions, system events to support forensic analysis and compliance. Without sufficient data, other controls are ineffective. Option C, verify sufficient storage for audit records. Necessary but secondary. Storage is irrelevant if logs lack essential details. And option D, review security plan for audit failure actions, reactive and less critical than ensuring logs are valuable. Question number 3. An organization would like to implement an authorization mechanisms that would simplify the assignment of various system access permissions for many users with similar job responsibilities. Which type of authorization mechanism would be the best choice for the organization to implement? A, role-based access control, RBAC. B, discretionary access control, or DAC, or DAC. C, content-dependent access control, or D, rule-based access control. And the correct answer is A, role-based access control, RBAC. RBAC is especially designed to streamline access management by assigning permissions based on job roles rather than individual users. So option A is the correct role-based access control. RBAC groups users into roles, for example, HR manager or developer or IT admin, etc., and assigns permissions to these roles. This reduces administrative overhead and ensures consistency for users with similar responsibility. Um, we could say all accountants, ¿verdad? Automatically get access to financial system without manual assignments. The other options are incorrect because, for example, B, discretionary access control or DAC. DAC lets resource owners assign permissions ad hoc, file by file, or folder by folder, for example. It is flexible, but it's impractical for larger scale role-based needs. Option C, content-dependent access control. This is incorrect because it grants access based on data content. For example, only view documents labeled confidential. This is basically this is niche and doesn't address role-based efficiency, and it's sometimes mostly used in government environments and some specific environments. Option D, rule-based access control, is incorrect because it uses system-wide rules. For example, no access after 5 p.m., right? It's rigid and it is not tailored to job functions. Question 4, what is the primary reason for criminal law being difficult to enforce when dealing with cybercrime? A, jurisdiction is hard to define. B, law enforcement agencies are understaffed. C, extradition treaties are rarely enforced. Or D, numerous language barriers exist. The correct answer is A, jurisdiction is hard to define. Cybercrime transcends physical borders, creating unique legal and logistical challenges. Option A, jurisdiction is hard to define, is correct because cybercriminals uh, cybercriminals often operate across multiple countries. making it unclear which laws apply or which authorities can prosecute. For example, an attacker in country A targeting a victim in country B via servers in country C complicates jurisdictional claims. Option B, law enforcement agencies are understaffed, is incorrect because while resource constraint exists, this is a secondary issue. Even well-staffed agencies struggle with cross-border jurisdiction. Option C, extradition treaties are rarely enforced, is incorrect because enforcement varies, but the root problem is establishing jurisdiction before extradition becomes relevant. And option D is incorrect because numerous language barriers exist. Language differences may slow investigation, but are not the core challenge. Question 5. Wi-Fi Protected Access 2, or WPA2, provides users with a higher level of assurance that their data will remain protected by using which protocol? A. Extensible Authentication Protocol. B. Internet Protocol Security, IPsec. C. Secure Socket Layer, SSL. Or D. Secure Shell, or SSH. The correct answer here is A, Extensible Authentication Protocol, EAP. Wi-Fi Protected Access 2, WPA2, enhances data protection primarily through the Extensible Authentication Protocol, EAP, in its enterprise mode, or WPA2 Enterprise, which provides robust authentication and encryption. Option A, EAP, is correct because again, WPA Enterprise uses EAP for secure authentication, such as EAP-TLS or PEAP, ensuring only authorized users access the network. Combined with AES-CCMP encryption, it offers high assurance for data confidentiality. Option B, IPsec, is incorrect because IPsec secures network layer communication, such as VPNs, but it is not part of WPA2's design. Option C, SSL, is incorrect because SSL encrypts web traffic, HTTPS, and it is unrelated to WPA2's Wi-Fi security. And option D, SSH, is incorrect because SSH secures remote command line access, not Wi-Fi connections. Question number 6. Which part of an operating system OS is responsible for providing security interfaces among the hardware, OS, and other parts of the computing system? A. The reference monitor. B. Trusted Computing Base, TCB. C. Time separation. Or D. Security kernel. The correct answer is D. Security kernel. The security kernel is the core component of an operating system responsible for enforcing security policies and mediating access between hardware, the OS, and other system components. Option D is incorrect. That's rather option D is the correct one, the security kernel, because the security kernel is the enforcement mechanisms that implements security controls, that is, access checks, authentication, etc., at the lowest level of the OS. It acts as a gatekeeper for all interactions between hardware, software, and users. Option A, reference monitor, is incorrect because the reference monitor is an abstract concept, not a physical component that defines how access control should be enforced. The security kernel implements the reference monitor's rules. Option B, trusted computing base or TCB, is incorrect because the TCB encompasses all hardware, software, and firmware components, including the security kernel, that enforce security. It's broader than the specific interface role described in this question. And option C is incorrect, time separation, because uh, this is a security technique. That is time-based access. It's unrelated to the OS's security interfaces. Question 7. What process facilitates the balance of operational and economic costs of protective measures with gains in mission capability? A. Performance testing. B. Risk assessment. C. Security audit. Or D. Risk management. The correct answer is D. Risk management. The process that balances the costs of protective measures with gains in mission capability is risk management, because risk management involves identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks while considering cost effectiveness and mission impact. It ensures security controls are proportional to the value of the assets that they protect. Option A, performance testing, is incorrect because this evaluates system functionality or efficiency but does not address cost benefit analysis of security measures. Option B, risk assessment, is incorrect because while risk assessment identifies and analyzes risks, it is only one step in the broader risk management process. It does not address implementation or cost balancing. And option C, security audit, is incorrect because audits verify compliance with policies and standards but do not weigh economic costs against mission gains. Clothing retailer employees are provisioned with user accounts that provide access to resources at partner businesses. All partner businesses use Common Identity and Access Management (IAM) protocols and differing technologies. Under the extended identity principle, what is the process flow between partnered businesses to allow this IAM action? A. Clothing retailer acts as user self-service, confirms identity of user using industry standards, then sends credentials to partner businesses that act as a service provider and flow access to services. B. Clothing retailer acts as identity provider, IDP, confirms identity of user using industry standards, then sends credentials to partner businesses that act as a service provider and allow access to services. C. Clothing retailer acts as service provider, confirms identity of user using industry standards, and then sends credentials to partner businesses that act as an identity provider, IDP, and allows access to resources. Or D, clothing retailer act as access control provider, confirms access of user using industry standards, and then sends credentials to partner businesses that act as a service provider and allows access to resources. Wow. This is a difficult question, and you're going to get many of this on the exam. So if you thought that the previous questions were easy or difficult depending on your level, but be ready to answer questions like this. All right. The correct answer is B. Clothing retailer acts as identity providers or IDP, confirms identity of user using industry standards, and then sends credentials to partner businesses that act as a service provider and allows access to services. Under the extended identity principle, federated identity management allows organizations to share authentication and authorization across domains. Um, and again, so option B is correct because the clothing retailer, it's the IDP, and authenticates its employees using industry standard protocols, for example, SAML or OAuth. After verification, the IDP sends a secure assertion or credential, that is the SAML token, to the partner business or the service providers. The service providers trust the IDP's authentication and grant access to resources without re-authenticating users. Um, why are the other options incorrect? Well, A, user self-service is not a standard IAM role. IDP is the correct role for the retailer. C, it's incorrect because the retailer cannot act as a service provider because it doesn't host the partner's resources. D is incorrect because access control provider is not a standard term in federated IAM. IDP-SP is the correct model. This diagram shows how this workflow works a little bit. Just to put in perspective, there was a lot of concepts on that previous question. As I said, it's a tough question to answer unless you really understand these things, right? But let's say that you log into a retailer. Let's say that you want to buy something from Walmart, for example. So you log in to the Walmart website. So that's the first thing. Assuming that this is Walmart, a lot of these big retailers use Microsoft Entra as the identity provider. So you try to log in to whatever the client is, the store. You log in. That store uses Microsoft uh, as the identity provider. So when you try to log in, your request to log in is sent to the identity provider to see if you have an identity, if that user actually exists, right? So you put your username and password or use multi-factor authentication. That should be the standard nowadays to prove that you are who you say you are. So you go to the identity provider. Let's say that this is Microsoft Entra. I'm a horrible. Um, this is Microsoft Entra, right? Microsoft verifies that the you say who you are, and then it goes back and send it to the provider and say, hey, yeah, this user exists. So that means that you are given the authorization, right? So then the authentication is sent to the user so that the user can act whatever it is that the user is looking for. So in a nutshell, I know that for some of you this may be a little difficult to grasp. There are going to be a lot more questions moving forward in which we will touch up on this, but it is extremely important that you understand this concept in order to answer correctly questions related to the identity providers and the workflow. And believe me, there are going to be many questions related to this topic. Question number 9. Which of the following statement best describes least privilege principle in a cloud environment? A single cloud administrator is configured to access core functions. B, internet traffic is inspected for all incoming and outgoing packets. C, routing configurations are regularly updated with the latest routes. Or D, network segments remain private if on, uh, network segments remain private if needed to access the internet. The correct answer is D. Network segments remain private if needed to access the internet. The least privilege principle ensures that users, systems, or processes have only the minimum access necessary to perform their functions. In a cloud environment, this principle applies to both identity and network resources. So, option D is correct because keeping network segments private when internet access is unnecessary adheres to least principle privilege by restricting exposure. So only segments requiring external communication should be reachable, reducing attack surfaces. A is incorrect because a single administrator with broad access violates least privilege, should use role-based access control or RBAC. For example, in the Microsoft world, um, you should not use the global administrator account for doing your day-to-day today job, or unless, of course, that is the only role that could do that. So if you are on a domain environment, you should not be a schema administrator or an enterprise administrator to do your day-to-day job because you don't need those access to do those jobs. So you should have a role that can do uh, the function that you are supposed to be doing. B is incorrect because inspecting traffic is a security measure, for example, intrusion detection, but it's unrelated to least privilege. And C is incorrect because updating routes is a network maintenance task, not an access control principle. Question 10, and the last question in this section. An organization has been collecting a large amount of redundant and unusable data and filling up the storage area network or SAN. Management has requested the identification of a solution that will address ongoing storage problems. Which is the best technical solution? A, compression, B, caching, C, replication, or D, deduplication? The correct answer here is deduplication. The core issue is redundant data consuming SAN space, and the solution must eliminate duplicates while maintaining data integrity. So again, deduplication is the correct answer because it removes redundant copies of identical data, storing only one unique instance. This directly addresses the problem of wasted storage from duplicate files or blocks. For example, if 100 employees save the same 1 gigabyte file, deduplication stores it once, saving 99 gigabytes. So deduplication is extremely important, useful uh, to help the consumption of SAM space. A is incorrect because uh, compression reduces the file size but doesn't eliminate duplicates. Redundant data will exist, it's just that it's compressed. B is incorrect because caching temporarily stores frequently accessed data to speed up retrieval, but doesn't reduce overall storage usage. And C, replication, is incorrect because it creates copies of data for redundancy and availability, which is basically it worsens the storage issues in this case. Well, this is the end of this section. Next section is coming soon. Please remember, if you like this content, give me a like, subscribe to my channel so that you don't have to remember to come over here. You'll be reminded. So thank you, and I hope to see you again.